Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_Access. I just love that everybody is calling AFAM's mom mama in there. It just cracks me up every time I see it, man. I never thought such a simple tweak to a YouTube profile will bring me so much joy, but somebody's crushing it. We got Jacob joining us here from Wisconsin. Obviously, I'm down here in Tennessee and got a lot of stuff to cover, Jacob. Camp's opening up tomorrow, man. Really, really excited about it. What we're going to hit tonight is we got a new kicker signing. You guys know we kind of hit on this a little bit last night that with Alex Hill being injured, having the eye injury, they'll probably go sign somebody. Not a huge transaction, but definitely something just kind of keep our eye on. Also, Jordan Love, where he falls on the top 100 list. Really excited about diving into that. We've got 5 camp battles, and if we have time, we'll get to the Zach Tom cap projection. So we're starting to get a little more information come down the pike here from the Zach Tom contract situation. So if this is your first time watching PTA, we appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Hit like, hit subscribe. We're not insiders here. We're not experts. We're not media members. What we are is just fans, just like you, out here talking Packers, breaking down all the ifs and ands, and trying to get down to the bottom of everything that's going on around the Green Bay Packers. So we'll be live all year long throughout training camp, pre-game shows, post-game shows. We'll be doing film breakdown, the whole 9 yards. We appreciate y'all coming along for the ride. Jacob, you ready to dive into this content, man?
Sure am. Yeah, you said the ifs and the ands. You forgot about the buts, and that's what was stuck on the poll, guys. I apologize. That was my fault. So.
Just getting caught up with the chat as I sat down on my chair here. Unbelievable. It's so unhinged. So let's jump into this.
Don't leave me alone with the chat, man.
Oh, I'm telling you. And I may have to step away. If I do, I'm always terrified to come back into the room and go, okay, what did they do? What happened? So as we've got Tim joining us now, he'll be in here in a second. So obviously we talked about the Will Sheppard signing right before camp yesterday, the wide receiver from Vandy in Colorado. Now we've got a kicker on board, and it's Mark. I don't know how you would say that name there, Jacob. I'm going to say Mark McAnamy. Does that sound right? Maybe
I'd say McNamee.
McNamee. All right, got it.
Yeah.
So he is a rookie, a kicker, 6'4", 208, big old boy, right? Joins the Packers as part of the NFL's International Player Pathway Program. The Ireland native comes to Green Bay after spending the last month with the BC Lions of the Canadian Football League. Would you say McNamee, right? McNamee participated in the 2025 NFL Scouting Combine. He was a goalkeeper in Gaelic football for Ballyboden St. Indas, maybe, in Dublin, Ireland. McAnamy will wear number 41 for the Packers. Now, listen, there's absolutely zero chance this cat beats out McManus for the kicker spot, right? But it's nice to have an extra leg in camp, and it might be something where there's a little bit of precedent where you may just stash him on the practice squad or keep him around just long enough for hopefully Alex Hill to get that eye straightened out. So hopefully that's nothing that's career-threatening in that regard. So, again, not huge news, but got another kicker in camp. We knew it was just a matter of time before we made that happen. You guys want to add anything to that?
I like what Prince has to say. It says 2 Irishmen in the special teams group. I want to party with those guys. Definitely. We've got kind of our own replacement style kicking squad going on right here.
We got to check though. McManus might have some Irish in it too, though. I mean, there might be 3. There might be 3 in that room. You know, You never know.
Yeah, and should probably keep my mouth shut, but he's got a history for being able to booze a little bit, I believe. If you guys remember, he got himself in trouble, I think, before. But anyway, we won't go there.
Nobody's listening anyway.
There you go. Appreciate that, Bob. All right, let's dive into some of the news of the day. Really excited about this. Isn't it amazing how there were a certain amount of people that were saying Rashawn Gary's a bum, Jordan Love's a bum. I mean, literally, Bears fans, Lions fans, Vikings fans have spent the last 2 years calling Jordan Love a bum, right?
Could be a crackhead who got hold to the wrong stuff.
He was number 34 on the top 100 last year. Obviously, this year, everybody was talking about how he took a huge step back, right? Battling with the 3 injuries. They typically the people who say he took a huge step back don't like to mention the knee injury, the elbow injury, as well as the groin injury. But bang, the players voted him number 68 on the top 100 list here for going into 2025. I don't know how you can be a bum and there only be 67 other people on the face of the planet that's considered a better football player than you by your peers. I want to get your all's initial reaction. Do you feel like that's too high, too low? How do y'all feel about it? We'll start with you, Jacob. What do you think about him coming in at number 68?
Yeah, man. I mean, I feel like that's fair, honestly. With the kind of turbulent start that Jordan Love has had to his Packer career, we've seen a lot of highs, we've seen some lows, and we've seen a lot of mediocre. I think that what they see in this list here is that he has potential. He has a ceiling that I think is untapped, and I think we're going to see it this year.
Go ahead, Tim.
J Money, number 10. He only throws dimes. I've said it before. I think this is fair for right now. I would think by this time next year, this list comes out, he's probably well inside the top 50, maybe top 40. But I agree with Jacob, man. I think this is pretty accurate for right now where he's at in his career.
Yeah. Jim H in the chat says Love is top 5. All right. And again, I'm not quite there with him being considered top 5. I love the enthusiasm around it there, Jim. Like, I hope you're correct. I hope he's top 3. I hope he's the best in the league. The back half of 2023, we've talked about it a lot. And that span, I don't think anybody played better football than him those last 8 to 9 games of the season, right? Now, the step back last year, obviously, us following the Packers pretty closely, it's the injuries that played a huge role in how they had to operate the offense and how often he could go under center and run play action and all those things. So really, really excited to see where he falls. If I had to put him somewhere right now, I would definitely say top 10 would be the range I would put him in. But I don't think it would take much in terms of him getting back to where he was at the end of 2023 before people were talking about him in the top 3 or top 5 for sure. Let's look at some of the other numbers outside of the ranking there. So PFF ranks him 20th in terms of their offensive grade, right? They gave him a 75.8. Now you look at that and go, okay, that seems, significantly lower. When you look at the names on this list, I think a lot of the names above him are better quarterbacks than him, and they're probably going to be on the top 100 list. But there's a few on here that I would say probably won't make the top 100. Nonetheless, you got Lamar Jackson 1, Joe Burrow 2, Josh Allen 3, Justin Herbert 4, Jaden Daniels 5, Baker Mayfield 6, Derek Carr 7. Right. So the fact that they think Derek Carr was the 7th highest graded quarterback in the league, pretty mind-boggling to me, to be honest with you. Patrick Mahomes 8, Geno Smith 9. Right. Brock Purdy 10, Kyler Murray 11, Jalen Hurts 12, Sam Darnold 13, CJ Stroud 14, Russell Wilson 15, right?
Who?
Jared Goff 16, Bo Nix 17, Aaron Rodgers 18, Trevor Lawrence 19, and then of course Jordan Love in the 20 spot. Now, how you can be ranked the 20th best quarterback, and then let me read off some of these numbers to you. He was 12th in passer rating, which you guys know. I think that's a pretty good gauge on how efficient a quarterback is, right? A lot of things go into play there. Protecting the football in terms of the touchdown to interception ratio, a lot of different metrics that go into that kind of gives you just a broad look at how good a quarterback is. He finished with a 96.7 passer rating. Above him on that list is only Jaden Daniels, Derek Carr, Tua Tagovailoa, Josh Allen, the reigning MVP, Justin Herbert, Sam Darnold, Jalen Hurts, Baker Mayfield, Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, and Lamar Jackson. Notice Russell Wilson had a lower passer rating there than Jordan Love on that list. Kyler Murray as well, So when even Pat Mahomes finished with a 93.5, right? So I don't know. Does that make sense, guys? It just feels like PFF is quite a bit lower on Jordan Love than some of the other metrics would suggest.
I agree. Can you scroll back up to the first list here, the main list? Because the thing that stands out to me is, I'm sorry, but like no day of the week, no planet in the solar system am I taking Trevor Lawrence over Jordan Love. It's just not happening. I'm not taking Bo Nix over Jordan Love, to be honest with you.
Right. At least to this point, right?
To this point, yeah. I mean, there's a handful of other names on this list that are astoundingly high rank that it's kind of shocking, honestly. So I think this is primed for Jordan Love to come out and have the kind of year that puts him in the top 10 when we look at this next year, and we see this list going into the 2026 season. So again, a little unfair, but par for the course, I think, for Jordan to be hanging around that top 18 to 20 range based on PFS numbers, whatever the hell those are, right?
Yeah, for sure, man. And I want to give a shout out to Greg in the chat who became a member here on there it is. All right, Greg in the chat became a member on YouTube, so we'll make sure you're entered into the giveaways. Anybody who's a YouTube member or a member of our Patreon group, appreciate you, Greg. Thank you for supporting the channel. Moving along to another statistic, EPA per dropback, Jacob. Right, expected points added per dropback, one of those advanced metrics. He finished 13th there, so that 13th obviously a lot closer to that 12th in passer rating than the 20th, grade ranking according to PFF. But nonetheless, he finished 13th in EPA per dropback. Jordan Love did, and that was actually a stat that fell in at a plus 0.07. Battling those three injuries, still having a positive EPA per dropback, ranking you 13th in the league. Pretty impressive. You'd like to think him being healthy, probably top 10 is a slam dunk.
Yeah, definitely. And I saw a chat. Let's see, Coach Len. No, not that one. Am I delayed?
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Jacob. You're good, man.
Yeah, I mean, like Tim kind of said, you look at the groupings around him, and certain players, I believe, just Jordan Love is just head and shoulders above them. I really do think that he's going to take a step, and the biggest thing is the injuries. I mean, this guy has played through so many injuries that I know it's the old adage, when healthy. I hate that term. Everybody hates that term, but the thing is that Jordan Love, just when he's firing, he is firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, completely agree. So, with that being said, moving on to now yards per pass attempt, 5th in yards per pass attempt. And this is kind of that, how dangerous is a quarterback, right? Every time they drop back and throw the football, what are they averaging? Now, again, it doesn't mean they're completing every pass. Obviously, this is just you take all of the attempts, right? And then you get all of the yards and you average it out. He's averaging 8 yards per pass attempt this season. Really, really impressive there, guys. That puts him 5th best in the league. Tim, the only people above him in this statistic he's actually tied for 4th when you think about it. Jalen Hurts at number 4, Brock Purdy 3, Jared Goff 2, and then, of course, Lamar Jackson in 1st there. Josh Allen, the reigning MVP, was, 4 spots below, really 5 spots below Jordan Love on this list, man. Yeah,
man. This is the company I like to see him in, right? You see some elite talent here. He's in good company. I don't see Fabio on this list. You guys see Fabio on this list? So I'm just, I love it. Tied for 4th with the guy that just helped his team win a Super Bowl. I'll take it. I think Jordan's right on track, man.
Yeah, he did make the list, Tim. He's 17th, actually.
Oh, 17th, way down there. There he is.
So again, when you look at some of the other statistics that we feel like is important when it comes to talking about the quarterback position, he was 5th in yards per pass attempt. And get ready to go, Jacob. We'll try to time up this delay here, man. 5th in yards per pass attempt. We got 13th in EPA per dropback, 12th in passer rating, but PFF graded him out as the 20th best quarterback. Anything else you want to add to the Jordan Love talk there, Jacob?
Maybe just a little bit. Ryan's podcast today, he talked about Jalen Hurts and how the big media, like the ESPN, is talking about how he's so underrated because he was ranked, I believe, like 9th or something like that on some sort of list that the coaches and analysts came out with. And he did a really good job of breaking down that sometimes wins gets overshadowed. Super Bowls get overshadowed. Pro Bowls, or I should say maybe they put too much stock into those things. And you take a quarterback like Jordan Love, and if you just put him on a certain team, like let's put him on the Eagles, and then he made the point, let's put Jalen Hurts on the Packers. Do you think that Jalen Hurts is going to have the same type of success? Because I don't. I think that Jordan Love would have much more success in Philadelphia just because he kind of got training wheels on him for what they ask him to do as a quarterback. So, these numbers need to be taken with a grain of salt, I would argue. Yeah,
I hear you, man. Anything else on it, Tim? We good?
No, I think we're good. I like that graphic right there. Shout out to the Packers graphic design team, man. That's phenomenal. Love it.
Which by the way, I seen some people in the chat talk. I think it was Coach Lynn talking about the new locker room looks sick.
Oh,
Did you guys see that video the Packers posted, Jacob?
Yeah, pull up my Twitter if you can, Clay. I said it's going to look real nice when we're hoisting that George Halas trophy on our way to bringing the Vince Lombardi trophy home. New locker room's going to look real good during that post-game interview, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, let's move it along. You know what? Let's which direction would y'all like to go? Do you want to go 5 camp battles heading into training camp, or would you rather talk a little projecting Zach Tom's cap allocation? What would y'all like to hit? Top 5? All right, let's do it. Let's do it.
It's Camp Miss Eve, so we've got to.
Oh, that's crazy, dude.
Let's go.
It's nuts, man. Nuts. So here's what I want you guys to do in the comments for me. You can do it on live stream, but if you're watching later, throw in the comments too. Let us know if there's a camp battle we end up missing on this list. Okay. And these are 5 that I'm not saying, 1 through 5, this is the ranking of them. I just put a list of 5 together. It's the first thing that come to mind for me. Typically that's the correct answer in terms of a person's opinion. Don't take time to think about it. What's the first thing that comes to mind? You know what I mean? So these are 5 camp battles I think are important going into Packers training camp. As the Green Bay Packers kick off training camp, several position battles will shape their 2025 roster. Here are the top 5 competitions to watch. All right, number 1 is left tackle. I think it's between Rasheed Walker and Jordan Morgan. And it's really, really strange, right? Because Rasheed Walker, most people see him as one of the top tackles in the game. We've been very vocal in saying, hey, look, he's an excellent pass blocker. His run blocking leaves a little bit to be desired there. Now, who's to say that Jordan Morgan can play the left tackle position better than Rasheed Walker? But you won't really know until you kind of get into camp and let that battle ensue. I'm considering this a camp battle because Brian Bulaga, Mark Tauscher, they keep talking about it as if they're hearing behind the scenes that this is going to be an actual battle. So Rasheed Walker's been a reliable starter at left tackle for 2 seasons now, right? However, the 2024 first-round pick, Jordan Morgan, who played only 6 games as a rookie due to a shoulder injury, is challenging for the spot. Morgan's versatility and draft pedigree as a first-round pick make this a heated battle to protect Jordan Love's blind side. I want to get your all's take on it. Do y'all feel like that's a legit camp battle? Do you think it's something that, Rasheed Walker, he's going to have to do a lot of negative to lose that battle, Jacob? Or do you think it's like, hey, this is legit? They're actually going to be playing for this position in camp?
Man, honestly, I think what they would do is give Morgan as much chance to see if he has some potential. If he maybe plays really well in preseason, he starts showing out really well in camp, kind of justifying what I think the front office wants to do is to not pay Walker if they don't have to. I think that's why they invested so much in Belton, in Morgan, and even guys like Williams. I think like Holmes is saying, it's Walker's job to lose, but I think they want, if they could put their finger on the scale and just, sprinkle some fairy dust over Morgan and have him be the starter, I think they do it just for cap's sake.
Yeah, 100% agree with that statement. And I don't think Sheed's going to just lay down and give it up that easy.
He doesn't just lay down. Remember?
Yeah, he lays it down, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, but like to Clayton's point, Jordan Morgan, played left tackle, most of his collegiate career, right? But playing left tackle,
collegiate career,
yeah, okay, so great. Like playing left tackle at the University of Arizona is a hell of a lot different than doing it in the National Football League, and we haven't seen it yet. So I do think if he steps up and blows Sheed out of the water, then yeah, I mean, you got to consider it, right? Like Jacob's saying, cap implications looking ahead. But at the end of the day, we've got tape for hours from last season and really, quite frankly, the year before of Rasheed Walker just crushing it at left tackle. So right. It's going to be a tough battle, but I would agree, Clayton. That's certainly on the offensive side of the ball. I think, aside from the wide receiver battles, maybe that left tackle, O-line kind of battles that we're going to see, that's definitely at the top of the list.
Yeah. Holmes in the chat said it's Walker's job to lose. Alex T says Jordan Morgan's more of a guard than a tackle to me. I love what Bungie Cheddarbug says. I actually hope Morgan wins so they don't have to pay Walker. Let Walker walk his to a nice comp pick. I don't know.
I'm sure this guy feels the same way.
Yeah. So, and I think that's what they're doing here, fellas. I think it's like, hey, let's give Jordan Morgan an opportunity to win that job. And if he does, like what Jacob was saying, I'll take it a step further. Even if he doesn't win the job, they get a good look at Jordan Morgan at left tackle and go, we're okay with that next year. Let's let Sheed play this contract out, let him walk in free agency, move on. Now, for the right price, who knows though, man? We may be surprised tomorrow morning, wake up and there's a contract on the table for Sheed to be signed for 10 to 15 million. Right, that could happen.
Pay that man his money.
No, we're not paying that man his money. But it's going to be interesting to see because there's a little bit of precedent for not paying that many offensive linemen. You got Elton Jenkins on a big deal. You've got Zach Tom on a huge deal now. I say huge. It's very, very. I feel like it's very team friendly in my opinion. You got Elton Jenkins, you got Zach Tom, and you got Aaron Banks. So it's like, are we really going to pay a fourth offensive lineman top money? Now, there has been a little bit of a trend across the league, but in terms of precedent with what Brian Gutekunst has done in the past, I don't think there's enough there. So we'll see. Ron Sample says, seems risky to me to take Walker out for an inexperienced guy this year. That's a great point too, Ron. It's a great.
Is. Here's considering, look at what she did since Bakhtiari left. I mean, we had, like the elite of the elite at left tackle for a long period of time, and for Rasheed Walker to step in and do what he did the past couple seasons is pretty impressive in my opinion.
Yeah, and again, it's one of those things that if they were to switch to Jordan Morgan, let's say Jordan Morgan beats him out in camp for left tackle, and now Rasheed becomes a swing tackle. Well, if Jordan Morgan does start to struggle, guess what? Sheed's still there. Yep. That's why I'm definitely not in the camp of trading him. You know what I mean? Unless it's a second or a third round pick, something like that, obviously. So keep him around, solidify that offensive line. All right, let's move it along now to the second camp battle that we mentioned here, and that's for slot cornerback. It's going to be Javon Bullard versus Nate Hobbs. You see that title and you go, what are you smoking, Clayton? You really think they're going to set Nate Hobbs on the bench for Javon Bullard? No, hear me out here. Second round pick Javon Bullard, who bounced between safety and slot last season, faces veteran Nate Hobbs for the nickel role. Hobbs, a free agent addition, has experience inside but may shift outside, intensifying the competition. Bullard's versatility could give him an edge if he adapts quickly. All right, so here's what could potentially play out. It's kind of like a three-way battle, if you will, right? Or really a four-way battle, because your cornerback room is Carrington Valentine, Keyshawn Nixon, Nate Hobbs, and then you got, of course, Javon Bullard is also a slot guy. If Javon Bullard comes out, Jacob, and he just balls out, right, and wins that nickel spot, then you just kick Nate Hobbs outside, let him play out there. You still got your free agent money on the field, and now it's going to be something where it's going to be probably Javon Bullard in the slot and the nickel, Nate Hobbs on one side, and now the camp battle, in my opinion, becomes Carrington Valentine versus Keyshawn Nixon. Keyshawn Nixon's contract is nowhere near Nate Hobbs. So you could justify putting him in the rotation and starting Carrington Valentine over him and Nate Hobbs opposite. So, again, Jacob, to me, this feels like it could potentially be a camp battle. And the main reason, man, that's a second-round pick out there, guys. This isn't like it's a sixth-round pick or a fifth-round pick. You just sit on the bench. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, you guys know that I'm a giant fan of Javon Bullard. I'm nowhere near ready to give up on him, his talents, or what he brings to this table. I just am very excited. Again, this is probably maybe my personal favorite camp battle, just because I need to understand how this cornerback room's hierarchy is going to fall. And I don't think that that's anything that anybody knows until maybe week 3 of preseason going into the regular season, because there's going to be so many variables. Injuries could be a thing, whether or not one of the young guys like a Kalen King or Micah Robinson comes out of nowhere and just surprises people. If Nixon can actually come out of his shell, I just really believe that. And I need Nate Hobbs to do well. I want him. I really do have a feeling that, we've talked about it in the past, how Goody he doesn't fire from the hip when he's making these free agent signings. He seems to have a very meticulous way of sorting out kind of the diamonds in the rough, if you will. And I'd say that he hits on like 80% of these guys. So this to me is going to be one. Tim, I don't know if we'd see much of Bullard and Hobbs in week 3 in that preseason game that I'm going to be going to with Mr. Tim in Green Bay against Seattle. But that's got to be what, I wonder how many of these battles we'll actually see come to fruition in week 3. But
by then we could see Keyshawn locking down the slot spot again, and right. Hobbs battling for the outside. who knows? I'm with you, Jacob, but I'm rooting for Bull all day. We all know that his strong suit is playing slot. Period, point blank. I would love to see him develop and have that versatility to really be an effective, safety, whether that's post or not. But I just think, him competing for that slot spot that's legitimate, I think, honestly. If you look at how he performed last year. And then, Nate Hobbs, we've talked about him. He can play there, he can play on the boundary. It might better suit us for Nate Hobbs to be a boundary corner. Who knows? I think that's what this time of year is for, right? Starting tomorrow, we're going to start to get some of these answers as camp progresses, for sure.
I love what Coach Lynn says. I was just going to say, I love what Coach Lynn says. Bull could be the biggest surprise at camp. You never know. Could be. He could end up being that player we thought he was going to be. Jacob, go ahead, man.
Yeah, so sorry. That's what I was going to kind of bounce off of is if Coach Lynn is correct, which I really hope he is, what do you see the Packers front office sees as more valuable, being that do you take your chance on the second round pick because you've invested a ton of draft capital, or you just paid a lot of actual cap money to a guy like Nate Hobbs? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if one of the two, they've got them, let's say they've got the boundary figured out. The guys are playing on the outside. Keyshawn's shutting it down. Kalen King, somebody, you know what I mean? They're like, these guys are starting on the outside. If you had to choose between the two, the front office, what do you think if they're going to be whispering in Matt LaFleur's ear or Hafley's ear? Which of the two do you think is worth more to them? Is it the money that they paid Hobbs or the fact that they invested a second round draft pick in Bullard? Does that make sense?
Yeah, for me, it's real simple. Like what you've got in Nate Hobbs is really a 1 to 2 year deal. Let's just call it a 2 year deal. So you got 2 years to let Javon Bullard kind of come along.
In the automotive world, they call that a lease with the option to buy.
Right. I think that's correct. Yeah. So, I think that's kind of what they're thinking, Jacob, is listen, if Bull takes a step forward that we think he can, great. We'll kick Nate Hobbs outside. Bull takes over the slot, right? But if Bullard continues to kind of, I don't want to say struggle, but not live up to that second round talent in year 2, there's still time. There's some players that Trey Hendrickson, everybody's absolutely head over heels for right now. He didn't pop until year 3, right? That's when he popped. If people had looked at his numbers, his stats, his grades, everything, years 1 and 2, they would have been screaming, "Boss, get him out of here, cut him!" Right? He ends up being a sack leader last year. So for me, I think that's kind of the game plan here. Is that gives Bullard. You don't have to depend on Bullard, but if he takes that step, you got versatility, and that's the other thing. Bullard can kick back and play safety in the pinch, right? Or who knows? Maybe they see it as we're not having Bullard in the slot anymore. I hope that's not the case. I felt like he played better in the slot, but we're going to go put him back there and let him battle with Evan Williams. People hear that and probably go, we'll get to it in a second. They're probably thinking, no way, Evan Williams is way better. He was in year 1, but Evan Williams could take a step back, and our boy Javon Bullard could take a huge step forward at the safety position.
I think ideally when you talk about this cornerback room, with the departure of John Money, maybe it does better suit the Green Bay Packers that Javon Bullard just becomes a corner. Look at the safety room we have. We talk about, KT Oladapo, the depth we have back there, even at the bottom end there, Omar Brown, guys like that. We talk about
Zane Anderson,
Evan Williams. You've got safety room looks pretty damn good to me. So if Bullard excels as a slot corner, or maybe you never know, maybe he gets his coverage skills up and moves to the boundary himself, and it provides depth in that cornerback room, and makes things easier on the back end. You never know.
Yeah, there you go. So that is position battle number 2. Let's move it along now to number 3, and that is right guard. All right, and this is what we're hearing from, once again, Bulaga and some of these guys, is that Anthony Belton, your second round pick this year. I mean, this kind of ties in perfectly with Javon Bullard's situation last year, right? They got him on the field as a second round pick. It's hard to imagine they're going to let a second round pick on offensive line just sit on the bench. Right now, I kind of feel like that's the way it looks. But for right guard, let's say that Rasheed Walker beats out Jordan Morgan for left tackle, like I think most of us believe will probably happen at least this year. If that happens, then you got a 3-way battle at right guard: Jordan Morgan, Sean Ryan, and Anthony Belton. Now, how quickly can Anthony Belton pick up the offense? How quickly can he pick up the checks and all that timing and everything that you need? Now, we were a little concerned because he may not be in camp because of the contract. Well, now that's done. We can, we're good. We're out of the woods there. But Jordan Morgan, Sean Ryan, and Anthony Belton at the right guard spot. If Morgan doesn't secure left tackle, he's a strong candidate for right guard where he competed last year before an injury. Sean Ryan, a 2024 starter, faces pressure to hold his spot. Second-round rookie Anthony Belton adds intrigue, making this a three-way fight for a starting role. Now, people will say, but Anthony Belton's a tackle, Clayton. So was Jordan Morgan.
So is everyone else until they get drafted, right?
Yeah. They both were left tackles in college. And this, again, we go off precedent here. There's precedent that the Green Bay Packers, Jacob, they're not scared to take a tackle, specifically a left tackle, kick them inside and let them play guard. So what do you think about that three-way battle there, man? If it does come down to those three players, I hope Jordan Morgan wins that job and just runs away with it, puts it to bed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with Coach. This is a great battle. It's a really great problem to have, as he went on to say in a different comment. And these are the types of quote unquote problems that you get when you have a front office, when you have a GM like Goody, when you have people that are actually thinking a season or two or sometimes three, is which I'm sure they're doing, opposed to, I won't name any other teams, that just say we're going to win it all in the offseason this year. And then, at the end of the year, they're 3 and whatever, and they've got, $2 million in cap space left because they quote unquote went all in. I hate that phrase. I hate that terminology. There's a reason that the Packers are perpetual playoff victors and are usually in most seasons are running into the playoffs with a chance at the championship. And that's all you can do. And the reason that we are perpetually there is because we set up ourselves for success. We don't set ourselves up for failure. The fact that we've spent draft capital on Jordan Morgan and Anthony Belton, I'll be honest, at the time I kind of rolled my eyes and thought, oh, who? I kind of, I was full Snoop with a lot of those picks. But the thing is, once the dust settles and you look at the especially like right now where we have the strength in that offensive line and the depth that we have there, well, there's a reason for that, right? It didn't just come out of thin air. It's because we were due diligent with what we did and we played it smart. We played it by the books. And I think that now we're going to have the starting five. I'm going to be very confident, barring crazy amount of injuries, are going to be a better front five than we had last year. And that's all you can ask for, right?
Yeah. As Coach Lynn says here, Tim, it's always best five. Will be great to see who played well together. And that's what they're doing. Those heavy rotations, cross training, guards as tackles, tackles as guards, guards as centers, and see what really gels in camp. And that's definitely one of the things to watch for. What do you think about guard here, Tim?
Yeah, I agree with what Jacob was saying. And we all know what team you were talking about, right? They play in that city about 95 minutes south of Milwaukee. We know who you were talking about.
Windy.
Jacob, right?
Is it windy there sometimes?
Something windy or something. Yeah, exactly. But
what those city boys going to do when this rolls into town, Tim? What about that there?
There it goes.
Hey, my guy.
Love that.
Sorry.
We're making pancakes that day, baby. Let's go. Oh, my gosh. Clayton, I told you, man, this is just after dinner for me. Take it easy with that one. But to Jacob's point, it's true. I mean, look at this. It's like, is Jordan Morgan going to win left tackle or is he going to win right guard? Talk about a great problem to have. And then, you look at a guy like, Big Sean over here, Sean Ryan, Mr. Nacho Libre. Like, you think he's going to lay down and just give that up? Like, you remember Sean Ryan, basically kind of inadvertently redshirted his rookie season and has been playing catch up ever since. And I think for a guy who missed a lot of time as a rookie, has certainly turned into a solid option, at least on your depth chart, as a right guard. So I don't think he's going to lay down. Big Escalade, Anthony Belton, hopefully this guy pops. But, again, a rookie, we don't know. There's a lot of question marks. So to Coach Len's point as well, seeing the competition is really going to be cool. And I don't know if you guys saw the weather. It's going to be a hot one tomorrow in Green Bay. So we'll separate the men from the boys from the girls pretty quick tomorrow. Yeah. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Even the fans, you'll have to watch them out there. Yep. They'll be dropping like flies.
I always bring a couple extra water bottles if anyone needs one. Hit me up.
Yeah, we know what you got in that water bottle. We're not stupid. break out the white lightning at over 100 degrees. Get low.
Straight Everclear, baby.
Yeah. So, it's funny, Jacob, as you were talking about Sean Ryan, or I think it was Tim talking about Sean Ryan's not going to lay down. I immediately thought of Rasheed Walker at left tackle. Let me give you a scenario that the casual fans are going to be so upset about if this plays out this way, and I'm going to be grinning like all get out. Imagine if Rasheed Walker wins the left tackle job and Sean Ryan runs away with the right guard spot. And you've got a first-round pick and Jordan Morgan on the bench and a second-round pick and Anthony Belton on the bench, I have no problem with it because what Coach Lynn said is spot on. Top 5, the best 5, put them on the field. And how good do you feel that if somebody goes down, which is what happened against the Eagles, right? Somebody goes down, you got a first and a second-round pick waiting to step right in and contribute. Like I would have no problem with that scenario. Now, as someone said earlier, the best case scenario would be your first round pick, Jordan Morgan, take that left tackle job, and Anthony Belton, your second round pick, take that right guard job. And now you got 2 veterans coming off the bench in a contract year where there's a chance that their value will be at the lowest it's ever been. You can get them back on a team-friendly deal. I know that sounds cold-hearted towards the player, but that's how the NFL operates. So it's going to be fun watching right guard, though, man.
Yep.
Just real quick, Coach Lynn was asking how hot is it going to be tomorrow in the 90s. From what I can see, definitely at least touching 90, and it's going to be more humid than you can believe. I believe there's a heat index over. Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
So yeah, the heat index over 100. I've seen something, a heat index of 102. I've seen.
And if you think for a second that's going to stop people from grilling brats and having a couple of daddy sodas, you got another thing coming, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
Well, you'll see Ramage out there with his shirt tied around his head. I promise you that. No doubt about it. All right, let's move it along. Position battle number 4, safety. And I know this is going to upset some people because it feels like, look, and don't get me wrong, this is Evan Williams' job to lose. I do believe that. Evan Williams played great last year. But Evan Williams versus Javon Bullard for that other safety spot. Evan Williams, a 4th-round pick, impressed with consistency in 2024, starting 6 games. Javon Bullard, a second-rounder, struggled with injuries and positional shifts, but has high potential. Both are vying to start alongside Xavier McKinney, with Williams currently holding an edge due to his reliability. I think he started more than 6 games. They may have gotten that wrong there, but you guys can check that yourself. Nonetheless, this is Evan Williams' job to lose. I'm just saying with Javon Bullard and that upside, if he takes a huge step and comes out and beats Evan Williams out for that other safety job, as much as I love Evan Williams, I'd have no problem with Bull starting. The problem is, though, Tim, I'll start with you this time. Last year, Javon Bullard struggled at safety, man.
Yeah.
Emilio always cuts me off and defends Bullard, and I respect him for it because he's like, yeah, but how many times did he have to go back and play safety on a short week while he was training all week long to be nickel? That's a great point. But yeah. I like Evan Williams' chances just holding down the fort here. But again, you got versatility in Javon Bullard. If Hobbs gets banged up, breaks a shoelace, he can kick in there and play the slot. If Evan Williams goes out because he crapped his britches, right, then guess what? While he's changing his britches, Javon Bullard can kick back there to safety. It's nice to have that Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, we always talk about it, right? Versatility is king in the modern NFL, right? And we talk about Bullard being so good in the slot. I'm not entirely convinced that